What's up, guys? It's Bailee from ECD Lax.
And I'm Kara with Edge Lacrosse Training, and we are here at ECD headquarters talking all about the draw. Let's get started. So basically what I would like to do is break the draw up into 3 parts. So since we're talking all about the draw, we're gonna first talk about the 3 Ds of the draw. We're gonna talk about decide, dig, and direct. So in terms of decide, what I'm saying is, you wanna make a decision when you line up, which technique am I gonna do? And therefore, which stance am I gonna have against the line, against your opponent, okay? So again, when we decide, there's a couple things that we can decide on. We're gonna focus on a couple different techniques, mainly on pushing versus pulling. And you can do both of those draws, either right-handed or left. When you're doing a right-handed push draw, there's a couple different ways that you can line up, and these are really about preference. And again, as you start to take the draw more and really become a specialist, you can find your own strengths. But some players like to line up with their left foot on the line. My team's going this way, I would line up like this. Bottom hand all the way down. Some players like to pull it up for control or further down for balance. It's, again, preference. But you want to make sure that your shoulder is a little bit closer to the head of your stick. You don't want to be far away. You also don't want to be leaning forward where you have no control. Okay, so again, this is lining up for our push draw. A lot of players also like to just have both feet equal on the line, like this, and then they're able to push it across their body or forward. Now, last piece is, this is one of my favorite draws, but you can actually line up facing, like where the midfielder is going. This is still a push draw, but you're trying to now push the ball in front of you this way, winning the ball this direction. I like that one a lot because when I'm able to control the ball out of both of our sticks, my opponent, Bailee, in this situation, is immediately boxed out. So that's a really good self-draw option as well. Okay, so for the pull, what you'd want to do is you'd want to line up, I'll show you here first. You'd want to line up with your feet nice and wide, like a low athletic stance, basically like a wider squat. And you'd want to line up with your left foot against the line, like this. Okay, your goal is to pull, or pop back, pull the ball behind you, as opposed to the push draw we just talked about. So I'm lining up on the line, my feet are nice and wide, I get nice and low, I'm lining up against my opponent, and I'm trying to dig, which is the next point, the ball over my shoulder, and therefore I'd win it like this. Okay, so again, to review, we have the push. You can line up a couple different ways, trying to push the ball in front of you, and you also have the pull method where you're trying to win the draw behind you. If I'm going lefty, I'd line up on the other side. Now again, my team is still going this way. I'm still trying to win the ball, obviously out of the air, but then eventually go this direction towards the camera. Okay, so again, it shows how even if she doesn't change her stance, I can change mine. I can go on the same side as her. So for the pull, for the left, some people call this just like the lefty draw, but this is still technically a pull method. So I'm left-handed, I'm trying to control the ball back this way. A lot of players like this. You'll see Maddie Jenner and Duke doing this draw a lot. Taylor Cummings was very excellent, obviously, at this draw as well. Players like it because they can win the ball and immediately grab it with their dominant, usually, hand, one-handed. So it's a very quick, exit, I guess. When you're taking this draw, you win the ball, and you can immediately snag and then start your attack. The last thing is this lefty draw here, where you can actually push, so you can dig and then push the ball forward, and then again, win it one-handed right away with your right hand, so you can control it a couple different ways. All right, great, so now that we talked about the stances, and we've made our decision on what stance, what technique that we want to do, we're going to talk about the dig, okay? This part is super important because even if you go into the draw feeling confident, feeling strong, you do everything right, if you don't dig, you're not going to ultimately be able to control the ball from your opponent, so listen up. Okay, so let's say I'm doing a classic push draw. Let's say I decide to put both feet up on the line, have that nice wide athletic stance. Bailee and I are lining up against each other. Perfect. Okay, so as you guys know, you need to have your stick parallel, so we're not allowed to do anything like that, and we're not allowed to do anything like this. So your stick is parallel. A couple things about the dig. What is it? So digging is basically your ability, and I'll show it so Bailee won't dig this time, you can see mine. My ability as the draw taker to basically scoop my stick underneath of Bailee's And then notice how I'm able to basically direct it wherever I want it to go. A digging, scooping motion to be able to get underneath of the ball and basically underneath of your opponent's stick as well. I get underneath, and you can tell right here, well, like college players, pro players can tell at this point, they're like, I'm winning the ball. I can direct it anywhere I want it to go. So that's why a lot of players that feel like they have good strength will go for the push draw. Lefty, same thing, except this time the stick will go this way, and then up, and then if I were to pull, then I would, again, same direction, I would dig underneath, so my stick is facing up, and then I would pop it back over my shoulder. That all sounds great, right? But the thing is, Bailee is also trying to dig at the same time as me. This is where really, a very sharp reaction to the whistle is necessary, because if I'm a millisecond or half a millisecond sooner than my opponent, I'm going to be able to control the ball. So I've decided on my stance. Let's say I want to push like this. I have a nice, good feeling with my feet on the ground, ready to use my force. And at the whistle, digging, my stick underneath, controlling the ball. So I'm going to show you what it looks like if there's no dig. Ready? Sweet. So we both went up, and your refs sometimes are going to say, up and over, ladies, which isn't false, but we both went up, but there was no real digging, no real direction, so that's why the ball just kind of, to be honest, I didn't know where it was going to go. And that's what you don't want. You want to be able to be in control and say, you know what, I want the ball right here, or I want to direct it to my strong one-handed grab teammate on the circle who's been getting the ball all game. Okay, so again, 3 Ds, decide, dig, and direct. We have made our decision. Okay, push draw, boom. Hand placement is ready to go, top hand all the way up. Bottom hand, again, a lot of players like it on the butt of your stick for balance and overall control. Some players like to sneak it up if they feel like they need a little bit of an extra edge over their opponent. That's totally your call. Try both. Which brings us to directing. So you have, again, you've decided on your stance and you have dug. So you're pretty much at this point now, you feel like you've won the dig battle, which brings us to directing the ball. So obviously there's different types of draws. You can focus on a self draw where you're really winning to yourself. You can also do that a little bit higher. I think it's important to note what your goal is. Is your goal to do a self draw where you feel like your opponent's immediately boxed out and then you're hitting the ground running? Or do you feel like you want to include your strong circle player, because another piece of the draw is playing to the strengths of the circle players? This is a really unique opportunity because it's basically like this 3v3 just for a couple seconds. When the draw is getting set, that's the only thing that matters. So it's basically like you're a mini team. So it's important to communicate with them. Okay, sometimes the circle girls are like, what you're doing is working, keep doing that. I'll box out and be ready for 50-50, but keep doing the self-draw. Finally, you want to, again, play to the strengths of your circle players. Let's say my teammate is over here, ready for my push. If she's really the best at ground balls, then I'm going to give it a little bit more power, try to get a little bit further away from her opponent to make it a true 50-50. So I've decided, I've dug, and now I want to direct it based on all those things we just talked about. So we've talked all about the 3 Ds of the draw: decide, dig, and direct. Let's say we do all of that great, and we're winning the ball and life is good. But let's also talk about when that's not happening, the not so fun reality of the draw, where you're doing everything right, you're doing everything you should do, but your opponent is just doing it a little bit better, a little bit stronger, or a little bit quicker, which is really realistic. Think about the best draw player you know. They're not winning every draw. They're winning a lot of draws, but they're not going to win every one, which brings us to the 3 Rs of when you're not feeling like you're winning the draw. So by winning the draw, I really mean my ability, if I'm trying to pull, my ability to actually control it that way, okay? We could take like just the craziest draw in the world and it could become this big 50-50 ball, and if I eventually come up with it, I won that draw, even if it didn't go my direction. So the 3 Rs in this situation are read, react, and respond. Read and react pretty much go hand in hand, and I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory. However, you want to make sure that you're never doing them in the opposite direction. I never want to make sure that I'm reacting and then reading. So Bailee's going to show how she's going for a pull draw, and I am too, except hers is gonna win, quote unquote, and what not to do. Sweet. So notice how I thought I was gonna win that. I didn't. Again, winning meaning the ball going my direction. And I immediately, without watching the ball, just took this step. Now I'm at a massive disadvantage because I'm really not in a good position to ultimately, again, win the ball. Instead, you wanna make sure that you are reading and then reacting. So again, you're gonna see how I don't get the ball to go my direction, but I read it and then I'm reacting, and I'm just going the direction that I need to go, as opposed to just muscle memory, okay, I wanna pull, I wanna go this way. Again, it's not always gonna go your direction, so you need to be able to, you can do a big one here, read it, and then react. Okay, great, which brings us to our final R, which is respond. So I want you to picture a situation. Let's say I'm in the game, and I'm really trying to push against my opponent. And I tried the push draw, and she had a beautiful self draw, and then they scored a goal. Second draw, tried it again, and she had another self draw, and then they ultimately did whatever they did with that possession. This third draw, I tried it one more time and it didn't work. This is where you really need to be able to respond. Okay, so what's happening? What you're doing is not working, right? So respond to that in a way that's gonna better the team. Okay, my push draw is not working. What can I do? Let me try pulling. Let me try pulling lefty. Let me try, like, if the ball is, you know, for example, if the ball is doing this beautiful little self draw to her every time, I want to stop facing this direction because I'm immediately just not facing the direction of the ball. So I'm going to respond in a way that's, hey, I see what you're doing. Instead of trying to fight it and not letting it work for me and my team, I'm going to turn my disadvantage into an advantage. So you can line up, maybe like this, a pull where your body again is facing where the ball has gone now 3 times in a row, and you can try to just be more ready for that. Your goal shifts from your beautiful self-draw to, okay, how can I technically just mess up my opponent? If she's doing something really well, I need to make sure that I'm just getting in there, getting the ball away from her and away from her circle girls who are winning the ball. Okay, so again, we have decide on your stance. Let's go for a push. Let's go for a lefty pull. Let's go for a righty pull. We have dig, where we really dig under the ball so that we can, number 3, direct it where we want it to go. When those things are not going according to plan, we need to read and react, and we need to respond accordingly.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and head over to edgelacrossetraining.com to check out some of Kara's stuff. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
See ya.